All right, good afternoon. As y'all know, we had to come live today. We got a lot that's going on. We got a ton of topics and stuff that we want to discuss on this afternoon. As you see from our opening topic at the top of our discussion, we want to go ahead on and we're gonna start it off real quick by discussing what in the heck is going on. Has stuff has actually hit the fan? What are
Mm.
we gonna do? How do we how do we organize and get mobilized and be able to move forward on trying to create a more perfect union? Because I see that over the past couple of days, we've been having a lot of things that have been flying out of the White House left and right. I think we're up to like close to 100 or so executive orders. From what I'm hearing, that uh, President Trump is expected to at least add close to 1,000 executive orders by the end of next month.
Mm.
So in other words, this is just the beginning of it. What we'll do is we'll go and look at a couple of clips and then we'll discuss as far as like a couple of things that have actually hit the fan. So the first thing that I want to start with is I want to start with a story that I saw earlier in regards to the 14th Amendment. Um Give me a second here. Let me get this pulled up. So let's get this pulled up. First off, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll talk about the aid cuts first because I know that's at the top of everybody's number one discussion and exactly about all the aid cuts and everything that is getting ready that is actually getting that's flying out of the White House as we speak. From what I'm hearing, that there has been a temporary injunction that has been put in place. Medicaid portals have been shut down nationwide. So that goes for anybody that has any grandparents, anybody that they know that may be on Medicaid, Medicare, any of those things. These things are stuff is just happening by the second. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take it to one video that I saw today. Let me get this pulled up. Can you see that there on the screen? Let me see
Yeah.
if I can get this pulled up. This was a story that I was listening to on earlier today. That you know, when I tell you, when we were discussing this, Zoe, can I get you in the camera? You can move over some into the camera.
Oh.
I'm gonna have you in the camera. Um, we discussed this stuff over the past couple of months as the election, as it got closer and closer, and as it drew near. That there were going to be a lot of people that was going to be not physically, but hurt behind a lot of the policies that one DJT is trying to implement here in this country. So, with all that being said, I just got one video. It's from one of the person from an individual that I follow on YouTube. I want to play something. And I think that this may probably be able to sum up a lot of people's frustrations and stuff of what they've been seeing that's been coming out of the Trump administration up to this point. Mind you, it's only been a week. It's only been 1 week. And here we are. This is the 28th. This is Trump's what is it? 7, 8. This is his ninth day in office. He ain't even been in office 10 days. So let me play this real quick.
Mm.
Let me make sure I got the audio. Got audio.
Somebody to fucking tell me they're lying right fucking now because what the fuck do you mean that I'm not gonna get my fucking SNAP benefits? What the fuck do you mean? Because what the fuck is happening? Do you understand that there are people like me who cannot work? Do you understand there are people like me who have kids who cannot eat? Do you understand there are people like me who go hungry the last week of the month just so my kids can't eat? Because SNAP benefits is all we fucking get? I need somebody to please fucking tell me he's lying. I can't. What the fuck am I gonna do?
Let me pause that. This woman here is just like losing her wits. Starts with an S but ends with it. She's up there, she's losing her wits. Mind you, this is a person that voted for Donald Trump. What did you expect he was going to do? We already told you he doesn't care nothing about nobody that has anything to do with hardworking people that are out here breaking their backs day in and day out trying to pay for these multi-trillion-dollar tax cuts. But we're going to get deep into that. Let's finish listening to this video.
Oh, fuck.
She hyperventilating?
Yeah, it's not funny though. I'm not laughing. I'm laughing. Because it's like, we told you so.
Oh, God. Breathe. Breathe.
She said she hasn't eaten in 3 days because of all of this. So my kids won't. So my kids eat and I wait.
Somebody to fucking tell me they're lying.
All right. Now, your comments, though. Your comments, real quick.
Yeah, well, I can comment on that by saying I'm gonna lead off by saying, yeah, I can get why she's mad, right? Because you would think naturally it would be a black person making that video stating that they need food stamps. But in all reality, white people actually makes up the majority, the largest share holders of people who receive food stamps at 36%, right? When compared to black people at 10% who uses food stamps. Don't forget that they are the majority in the United States. Food stamps were created, SNAP benefit program was created for the benefit of white people. This was before the civil rights movement was even enacted, right? Before the equal equality under the law, before the EEO was signed into law, so we can all have a chance without being looked at and being turned away from job applications because of our skin or because of our differences or somebody is disabled or whatever the case may be. But I can understand where the frustration come from because you would expect that you're not being targeted because you share the same skin color, right? You think you share the same frustration. So, oh, we want the illegals to go back to where they came from. So more for us, right? You would expect to understand that. But it really affects the majority of white people when you take away benefits. It doesn't ricochet so much and affect black people because you got to understand they put us through hoops to get these benefits anyway. So it's not even most black people don't have it. You heard there's only 44 million black people in America. 10% are on food stamp. That's
Right.
only 4 to 9 million black people. So I get where she's coming from, the frustration, but you cannot neglect the fact that whatever the government is doing is going to ricochet and bounce off and affect the white population as well. There's no easy way out of this situation.
So how do we? Okay. So my one question is that I want to ask you is exactly how do you come out of a situation that has like I could say like I'm a product of SNAP benefits, the
Mm-hmm.
WIC program,
Mm-hmm.
Section 8 public housing.
Mm-hmm.
Us both. We both are a product of that.
All right.
So the question is, what like we know that there are parents out there that can't work. Some people have kids that have special needs and they have to tend to them around the clock.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also have individuals that work that work at these bum jobs where they only working, I'll say 40 hours a week, where they're making close to like $10 or $11 an hour working at the local Walmart or the
That's only twenty to
or
$22,000 per year, right there.
right,
10 or
and that's only
$11.
$2,000 per year. Also, your camera's frozen, so I don't know if you want to readjust that real quick. Um, I'll bring
How
you
is
down
it?
so that way you can get it. I'll just remove you from the scene. But the question is like, how do we get ourselves back to understanding that some of these things don't effectively target the individuals? So I got one other clip that I want to show you guys, where it talks about how they were thinking that this was going to proportionately hurt individuals that are from a marginalized community. I'm not going to say what community, but I'm just going to let you guys be the judge, because I want you to hear the words of what this guy, not this guy, but what this individual says in a clip. Hold on one second. Let me get this pulled up. I'm trying to get it pulled up for you guys right now. Hold on. I just had it. And we're live. We're simulcasting on Twitch. We're on YouTube. We're actually simulcasting on Facebook as well as Instagram, TikTok as well. Also, Zoe, you want to go ahead and tell them where they can join us at on TikTok while I get this up and running.
Zuvi Jackson TV on TikTok. Zuvi Jackson TV.
All right. Hold on one second. I think I got it here. Hold on. But we've been hearing this for years, though. Like, get off your ass and go to work. Do whatever it takes to be able to get yourself into a position uh, where you don't have to continue to keep pulling yourself up by your own bootstraps. End quote.
Right.
But all right, here it is. All right, I got it.
One they claim, but I found out how to claim them though. Oh, you did? Yeah, the structure gun.
All right, let me get this pulled up. Let's share this tab. All right, you can see that there on the screen there. Let's see what we got.
No. Not
Okay,
yet.
here it is. All right, here we go. All right, got it here on the screen right now. Let me get this pulled up. Let me get you added onto the scene. You got your camera back up and running. All right, so I got a clip that I seen today. It was on YouTube today. I'm gonna give credits to the Texas Holler. I want you guys to look at this video, and then we'll come back and we'll talk to you guys on the other side. Get this played. And I want you to listen to the words that he's.
Breakfast and Head Start, for example, and getting rid of childhood cancer research. Do you support that? And what do you say to your constituents? I want to follow up on that question too, because I didn't hear an answer from you.
Sure. So I'm an ER doc, and I know that philanthropy is where you get most of your money for childhood cancer research, for example. And it's not just I mean, you look at what the president just proposed, a $500 billion spending bill on AI to produce cancer early detection in the first stage on most body parts. That's his spending bill, where he wants to increase cancer research. So it's just about what part of the money it comes out of. When you talk about school lunches, hey, I worked my way through high school. I don't know about you, but I worked since I was, before I was even 13 years old. I was picking berries in the fields before we had child labor laws that precluded that. I was a paper boy. And when I was in high school, I worked my entire way through. You're telling me that kids who stay at home instead of going to work at Burger King, McDonald's during the summer, should stay at home and get their free lunch instead of going to work? I think we need to have a top-down review.
I think you're painting a
think
lot
about
of these
where
kids
kids
with a
need to
broad
actually
brush.
be.
I would say that's not necessarily a fair assessment of all of the kids. So you would say all the kids in your district who use the free lunch, for example, or breakfast, they're all just sitting at home and not working. Okay, I just want to clarify, because that seems like what you were trying to insinuate.
This gives us a chance. This gives us a chance, though, to see where is the money really being spent. Who can actually go and actually produce their own income? Who can actually go out there and do something that makes them have value and work skills for the future? I mean, how many people got their start in fast food restaurants when they were kids versus just giving a blanket rule that gives all kids lunches in high school who are capable of going out and actually getting a job and doing something that makes them have value, thinking about their future instead of thinking about how they're going to sponge off the government when they don't need to. We don't give people value. We don't give them the ability to dig themselves out when we penalize them for actually working and actually keep them on welfare. That's what's been the inner city problem for a very long time. We need to have a top-down review so we can get people out of poverty, because you know what? America's very good at creating jobs and giving people worth. And we've been very traditionally good at that, but we're losing our way. And that's when we give people incentives to stay at home and not work. That doesn't work for America.
But a lot of these kids aren't even of like working age. They're young kids, and as you well know, and also some of the kids at Head Start, they're like 5 and under. But I just want to ask you, because would you support?
So you heard his choice of words where he said it doesn't proportionally affect. It only proportionally affects the urban area. Who are the urban people is he talking about?
You gotta understand. Who are the urban people?
So when they use these code words, DEI, urban,
Yep.
number one thing you think about, black, brown, Hispanic, indigenous, whatever you want to call yourself. Disproportionately is going to affect a lot of people. And it's just, like you just said, that this is pretty much, what's the word you were saying? You were saying that this pretty much curtails on the ambience of individuals that are benefiting from Section 8 in public housing. You got people that are benefiting from the SNAP benefits. So you saying get a job? Okay. Like you just said, who in the heck, how can you pay your rent only making $400 and something every 2 weeks?
You can't. You live it in a cycle where you wake up, you go to work, you punch the time clock, you don't make enough to even make ends meet. You got to work 2, 3, sometimes 4 jobs just to make ends meet. And remember, the threshold of being poor is making under $25,000 a year, right? That's where you are getting the benefits or the full benefit of SNAP, EBT, or Medicaid, whatever the case may be. You have to make less than $25,000 a year, right, in order to be qualified for those benefits. And $10, $11, $12, $13 is just about under $25,000 a year. When you make $15 or more, that's when you start to make $30,000 a year plus. So there's no jobs really paying above that threshold to take you out of the poverty line of $25,000 a year.
Right. Okay. So now, with that being said, we just heard from one of the congressmen. What was his name? Congressman Whiten? No, Senator White. That was a congressman from Georgia. Okay, now let's hear from Trump's chief architect of Project 2025.
Right.
Stephen Miller. Do your research on him. All I can tell you, alternative right. One of the co-authors of Project 2025. When I tell you that this stuff is in it's in its full run right now, I want you guys to really take a chance and take a look at that. Let me see. We got a couple of questions, a couple of comments that came in, and we'll get to that in a second. But what I'm going to do is I want to go ahead and I want to play this video. It says Trump freezes on federal aid takes effect at 5 p.m. today. White House Deputy Chief Staff of Policy. This is Stephen Miller. This is the chief architect, the individual that is putting together all of these executive orders that one DJT is signing his executive orders with a stroke of a pen, in which a lot of the stuff that he's doing is unconstitutional. But as Steve Bannon clearly stated, he said, we're going to throw a bunch of it at the system and see what sticks. And before they can even tell what's going on, we'll already have our plan fully implemented. So let's listen to what Stephen Miller got to say.
Control over this government and ends the waste, abuse, and fraud on the American people, where we let bureaucrats autopilot federal spending. If we hadn't stepped in, then billions more dollars, as an example, would have gone to left-wing NGOs that fund and resettle illegal aliens and are complicit, in many cases, in facilitating child trafficking.
Okay,
So
so
this
obviously,
administration will never, ever apologize for defending the American taxpayer.
obviously nobody's in favor of child trafficking. Let's move on to immigration because
and I want to state it clearly.
Okay.
Either Donald Trump gets political control over this government and ends the waste, abuse, and...
So when he says political control, what type of political control is he trying to get? What type of political control is he trying to seize of this government? Zoe?
Trying to get full control, it look like.
When it said, okay, so if we're gonna get full control, what happened to? Why would you fire 18 inspector generals on Friday? The people that are in charge of oversight of each department to make sure that no waste is happening. So you mean to tell me you want to get full control, but you don't want to have any oversight?
That's what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like.
Make it make sense. Make it make sense.
You want
But the
carte blanche?
question is, huh?
I say you want full power.
He said he wants full and absolute power. Okay, so how did he get full absolute power? How does that happen?
He's gonna have to sign a series of executive orders that's going to be in his favor, and that the judges won't strike down when it goes past and into law. You know, some, like you said earlier, some Supreme State judges, not state judges, federal judges can, strike down some executive orders if they don't deem it justice or constitutional.
Right. Okay. I got one other thing that I want to share real quick. Let me get this pulled up. So at 5 o'clock today, everything shut down. Everything shut down. We had Medicaid sites that were shut down. People were trying to go on, trying to get certain things taken care of through Medicaid. Those things have been cut as of 5 p.m. today. But then the Trump administration released the article. We're going to read that article in a second, but I got another video that I want to take it to. I'll take it to real quick before we get ready to go in full in depth. And what's the word I'm looking for? Before we go DEFCON 3 on DJT in this administration. Let's take a look at what this young lady had to say. She pretty much broke down everything, and she actually showed exactly all of these congressmen and these senators on social media. And guys, listen, call your elected official and tell them that you do not agree with the stuff that is coming out of this White House, and tell our leadership, the Republicans, Democrats, whoever it is, tell them to get off of their behind and stop this man for coming in and single-handedly trying to turn this country into, I might as well say it looks like it's going to become a dictatorship.
Right.
We are in the early stages. We've seen how this goes around the world. So now let's take a listen into this young lady real quick, and then we'll come back on the other side and we'll talk about it. Let me get this pulled up. Are we good? We good.
Side by side of how Democratic lawmakers and Republican lawmakers are responding to the federal spending freeze that Donald Trump ordered from federal agencies. Chris Murphy is talking about how preschools in Connecticut are not going to be able to pay their staff, so they may have to close their doors and send home children. Mark Warner is talking about how a domestic violence shelter in Virginia relies on federal grants that have already been appropriated to fund themselves may also have to shut down. Meanwhile, Representative Rich McCormick is on TV saying high school students who rely on school lunch programs to feed themselves should just go get jobs to provide their lunches. This federal spending freeze.
Let me pause that. Now, did you hear what she said? Key word. This is affecting kids that are on the free lunch program at schools.
It's only like 2 weeks old.
This is the free lunch program. This is kids that are in Head Start that these funds are looking out for to be able to help the individual parents that have to go and work.
Right.
Do that. Because a lot of these kids that are in Head Start, that's helping out these parents that can't afford child daycare. They're getting the stipend from Alpi to be able to help their kids, to be able to take care of their kids while they're at work, while their kids are in preschool learning. These are federal programs. You mean to tell me all our tax dollars that we've spent into the system over this time are going to continue to keep getting pulled back because we're paying taxes into a system? And you telling me, okay, so then we might as well not even pay any taxes, right? Right or wrong?
You can't not pay taxes.
But I'm just saying, what are we paying taxes for if you're going to cut all of the benefits of what we're paying into the system to be able to help the least vulnerable in our society?
Right. And that's the whole reason. It's just like the church. Well, I'm not going to bring that into this conversation, but yeah, you're supposed to pay taxes. The taxes go back to the government. The government, that's the way they keep the roads safe, the bridges,
Right.
Certain jobs are paid through taxes, government officiated jobs. It's the way they take a little out your pocket to keep the community going. That's your buy-in to society.
Okay, so let's go ahead and finish listening up what this young lady has to say, because you see how she's putting side by side between the Republican and Democratic lawmakers. So remind you, so just don't go after your Republican lawmakers, go after these Democratic lawmakers, because it seems like they don't have any spine. Republicans have no morals and Democrats have no spines.
Will affect FEMA, it will affect Medicaid, it will affect veterans' healthcare benefits, it will affect school lunch programs, it will affect a number of important public services that Americans rely on. And they are going to lie to you. We know that because lawmakers from state, local, and federal government offices are already telling us the stories of their constituents already suffering as a result of this. Do not believe them, because while all of this is going on, Donald Trump is posting this. He does not care about working class people in this country. And if you are a working class person and you voted for him, you are about to find out. You are about to feel what exactly it is that you voted for. This is a side-by-side of how...
Now that we've heard that, okay. So the question is, when are you going to get tired of what's going on?
They won't.
When are you going to get pissed off and start making those phone calls to Capitol Hill and telling them, we didn't sign up for this?
Most people are ill-informed.
Great again. This is dividing this country. Hold on. Just take a couple of comments real quick. Okay, we got one individual that came on. It said, what's that name there? Polar McKnight. How you doing? Just give a quick shout out.
Oh yeah, shout out to you, Polar Knights. We're doing good.
From Twitch.
Shout out to Twitch.
Okay. All right. Now that we've done that, let me go to the next topic that we got up for discussion. Now we've listed off a couple of the dynamics of what the individuals are what these guys are trying to do right now. So we've listed off those things. So now the next thing that we're going to need to do is we're going to need to figure out, okay, so what caused the reversal in some of these policies today? So I found an article today, and then what I'm going to do is I'm gonna go down a list, and we're going to talk about each individual, each of what this executive order does to a lot of families throughout the country. So I'm going to list all those things, and we're going to talk about that. So let me pull up this news article. Let me see. I think it was in the New York Times, if I'm not mistaken today. Okay, here it is. All right, let's see. I'm trying to get that up. Is it up?
Not yet.
All right, here we go. All right. So as you can see there on the screen, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to read through this story. Credits to MSNBC, not MSNBC. I think this is CNBC. It says White House says Medicaid portal will be back online shortly after Trump funding freeze blamed.
2:27 p.m.
And what time does it? What time did that say?
2:27.
And that was at 2:27 p.m. Guess
Yeah.
what? Florida's Medicaid portal just came back up about an hour and a half ago. So I've been checking it myself. So it says, here are some of the key points real quick. It says Medicare reimbursement portals were down in all 50 states. The Trump administration ordered a freeze on all federal grants loans, said Senator Ron Wooden of Oregon. Also states that the situation the shutdown and access to the Medicaid system came a day after the acting officer of Office of Management and Budget Director Matthew Vett issued a memo ordering a temporary pause of agency grant, loan, and other financial assistance programs. The White House spokesman Caroline Leavitt said she expected the system to be back online shortly without any effect to payments.
Mm-hmm.
Medicaid reimbursement portals were down Tuesday in every state. United States after Trump administration ordered a freeze on all federal grants and loans, and a senator said. But the White House later said it expected the system to be back online shortly without any effect on payments. My staff has confirmed that reports that the Medicaid portals will be down in all 50 states following last night's federal funding freeze. Senator Wooden, Democrat of Oregon, wrote in a post on social media X, "This is a blatant attempt to rip away health insurance from families, from millions of Americans overnight, and will get people killed," he wrote. Senator Wooden said, "New. My staff has confirmed." Okay, he pretty much reiterates that. Senator Chris Murphy, Democrat from Connecticut, said that the Medicaid payment system has been offline. So doctors and hospitals cannot get paid, Murphy wrote in a tweet discussing ongoing about whether services can continue. Senator Schultz of Hawaii tweeted that this is a Trump shutdown. Expect this time is unlawful. So technically, he could not do what he did. It's against the law. Period. Full stop. He does not have the authority. He does not have the authority to be able to just go in and just say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to cut funding.
Right.
I'm going to cut over $1 trillion off. So my question is, if you're going to be cutting all this funding, why are you cutting kids' lunch, Section 8, WIC? Those are just three just to name off real quick. Why cut these benefits? How much does it accumulate to our country's budget? So that's damn near $1 trillion. So what does Trump need $1 trillion for?
In my opinion, maybe he's trying to rebalance the budget, or he's trying to freeze all payments and then re-imprint new checks with his name on it. Sleight of hand stuff. But in any case, anything that was done by the previous administration, I feel like Trump is going through repealing or taking off the sticker and just putting his own Band-Aid or sticker on it, with his own name, his own brand. So in any case, that's what I feel that Trump is inevitably doing to the American people. He's just rebranding United States with Trump, you know? So
I wouldn't call it a rebrand.
mhm,
I would call it that he is actually uh, trying to find money to be able to pay for those tax cuts. Because he already said, because in March, we're going to be getting ready to come into another fight as far as with the budget.
reallocate.
They're going to have to reappropriate funds again in March. Uh, President Trump is going to have to negotiate with Democrats and Republicans in order to get a spending bill done.
That's in 2 short months.
And that's going to carry us through the next couple of months. But he said the only way that he'll do any type of spending bill is if the debt ceiling will be a part of those negotiations. And that's where the line is drawn from the fiscal conservative Republicans and also from the fiscal conservative Democrats. Everybody wants everybody wants their pieces, and everybody wants to put things inside of this budget.
Right.
Trump's number one thing that he wants to do is he wants to cut the budget down so that way they can have the money to be able to pay for these multi-trillion-dollar tax cuts.
Right.
So when Elon Musk stood on that stage, when he told everybody that Doge was going to cut off and cut all these different benefits, he said it's going to hurt really, really bad early. But after that, it's going to level off. How is it going to level off if you don't have any money? And now Trump is talking about cutting the income tax system and implementing a national tax.
Well, then the income tax system is a tax on our money that we work for, right? So that's the income tax system. So what would the national tax system be like?
How much would the national tax system be? The federal tax level. Now you have to take into account, we live here in Florida.
Right.
So technically in a lot of different municipalities and jurisdictions throughout the state of Florida, you have 7%. Some places go all the way up to 8% in taxes. So therefore, if you add in a national tax, how much would that national tax be? And that's the one thing that I'm trying to find out from the economists and all of the people that are around Trump. What is the national tax?
Well, I mean, anything above 15% to 20% federal tax will pretty much kill a lot of poor people. Because you gotta, like you said, you gotta add the state tax and the national federal tax. And if your state tax is 12 to 15% already, you combine that with another 15% at this low end, that's already 30%. It's not hard to do the math to figure out how much your income is being taken away by the government. And this is what you worked for. Again, taxes on your wages. Right? So this is turning a $100 job into a $70 job after taxes real quick. But you doing all the work required for that $100. But you getting in return 70. Possibly even less, but we just, 30%, maybe getting.
But at the end of the day, what they're doing is they're just trying to control the libs. If you look at everybody that's inside of Trump's cabinet, Marco Rubio, he's probably about one of the only qualified people that can be able to, that we can say that deserves his post inside of the in the Trump cabinet. That's one person. Then you look at Pete Hegseth, defense secretary. What was he doing? He was on Fox News. He was a TV anchor. And then you look at Kristen Noem, who was the former governor of North Dakota. She was out there in the ice and police ice fatigue today. And she was out in New York, and they were out pulling kids out of classrooms and stuff and taking them and deporting them. But I thought this was supposed to be for the violent offenders first. But right now, it's almost like, no, we're going to get everybody. We're going to get your layouts. We're going to get your poppies. We're going to get all of them. And we're going to get your kids. We're going to take everybody out of here. But we'll get back to that. But this
Right.
is what I want to read real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I just told you guys that we were going to talk about how is this going to affect everyone. Okay, let's look here. Trump just ordered a federal spending freeze. Here are some of the programs that could be impacted. Medicaid, that's already been impacted. Section 8 rental assistance. That is for people that can't afford housing, adequate housing. Title I education grants. Those are your Pell grants, housing grants, whatever that is. You know,
Mm-hmm.
also you're going to school
Mm-hmm.
right as of right now.
Mm-hmm.
You're studying. You use the Pell grant to be able to pay for your education and stuff.
Absolutely.
But now that's frozen. TANF, temporary assistance for needy families, meaning those are funds that are automatically that anybody can be able to apply for. If they have any kids and need housing or any benefits as far as like emergency assistance for funds, and you need to have a couple dollars inside of your pocket, this is set up for you. A lot of people don't know about this, that don't take advantage of it, but that system that is there, but that's gone now. State grants for childcare. So that's for Head Start, preschool, ALPI programs in the state of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Head Start, that's another part of it. The special supplement of nutritional program for women, infant, and children's. That's WIC.
Right.
Department of Housing and Urban Development. All funding has been frozen there as well. Development of community development grants. Those are block grants that cities get to be able to help with the police departments and stuff to be able to fight back on crime. EPA grants for clean water. So therefore, you might have some dirty ass water pretty soon because all that funding has been cut for the federal government. And yours truly, DJT, does not want you to be healthy. So in other words, at the end of the day, what we're gonna do? We're gonna eat air.
I mean, we need it.
This is just sad. This is just sad. And then you sit back and then you look at everybody talking about this DEI stuff, in which we already know DEI is gone. And then you got companies that's committed to continuing to implement DEI. DEI, when you hear it, they all automatically put what? A black face to it.
Right.
Companies committed to DEI. Costco, Merger, Kroger, Giant Grocery, Ben & Jerry's, Ulta, Macy's, Old Navy, Nordstrom, TJ Maxx. Go-to foods includes more Southwest Grills, McAllister's, Auntie Anne's, Jamba Juice, Cinnabon, and more. Dollar Tree, Walgreens, and Wegmans. So now when you look at these companies, if you're going to spend your money somewhere, go spend your money with businesses that really do care about individuals like you that are tuning in right now that's under the sound of our voices. Support these businesses that are going to be able to help you guys out. Not these big corporations, because these big corporations don't care nothing about anybody but the good old mighty green dollar.
Capitalism.
And capitalism is dead in the United States. So now, with that being said, let's see what type of breaking news that we are witnessing right now. Let me get to
Just a few moments ago on MSN, Donald Trump was reported by Michelle Del Rey 17 minutes ago, approximately. He's trying to buy out some government workers, the ones that don't want to return to work. He's saying he's giving them a few months, and if they don't quit by Thursday, they not get they're not getting any kind of pay or anything. He's just gonna fire them. That's what I'm seeing right now on MSN.
MSDNC.
You know, they for the Democrats.
Okay, Google reclassify U.S. as a sensitive country alongside China, Russia after Trump's Gulf of America comments. Let's look at this news story. It says Google reclassifies.
You got it?
Oh, yeah, let me get that. Let me add it to scene. You got it?
Yep. There we go. So this is the report right here. Just came in a few minutes ago.
You can go ahead and run through it.
And what could result in an unprecedented purge of the federal workforce, the Trump administration is offering a 7-month buyout to employees who don't want to return to their offices, but only if they quit by the next Thursday. The White House Office Personnel Management sent an email blast to federal governments working and asking them to reply to an email if they want to take the offer, which will only be available until February 6th. If they give up their jobs, then they'll be paid until September 30th. So, also, there's a little video here. The email states in the new federal workforce will be built around 4 pillars: returning to office, performance culture, more streamlined and flexible workforce, and enhanced standard of conduct. If you choose to remain in your current position, we thank you for the renewal focus on serving the American people to the best of your abilities and looking forward to working together as a part of an improved federal workforce, the email states. At this time, we cannot give you, I'm gonna give y'all a few more, but of course, the basic understanding is he's expecting the federal workers to return to work, and if they have until Thursday, and if they do accept it, they can work. If they don't, they're going to be paid out to September 30th. At this time, we cannot give you full assurance regarding the certainty of your position or agency, but should your position be eliminated, you will be treated as with dignity and will be afforded. Federal workers can opt out their current positions through what the office calls a deferred resignation program. The program begins. Sorry? No, these are the employees that work from home. What he want to do is implement a return back to work, back to the building. You know, the old days of punching in the clock instead of working from home like you're a CEO. Everybody's mini CEOs now, working at home, working their own personal cubicles. So, but he ultimately want to remove that from the federal workers. So that's what this is pretty much saying in a letter given to those federal employees. So they have a deadline, right? Which is next Thursday. And the personnel wrote in the mail this statement, which I just read. So they have, again, it says in quotes, if you resign under this program, you will retain all pay and benefits of your daily workload, will be exempt from all applicable in-person work requirements until September 30th, 2025, or earlier if you choose to accelerate your resignation for any reason. The email continues. So they basically have a deadline. And if they don't meet that deadline, they're fired. But if they do want to return to work, then they're good for whatever the case may be.
So my one question is, okay, so when we talk about the deadline, what so if they don't return, they'll be fired.
Correct, which the first part states that right here. And what could result in an unprecedented purge of the federal workforce. The Trump administration is offering a 7-month buyout to employees who don't want to return to their offices, but only if they quit by next Thursday. So he's offering a buyout. So the ones that's out, like I work from home, I'm a federal employee, I work from home, I pick up the phone, whatever the case is, that's mostly what's going to be work from home jobs, answering the phone, pushing paperwork like statistics, finance. You can do all of that from home, but you can also do it in a cubicle in the workforce. And so he's trying to save buildings, because you got to think about these buildings are going unused for many months at a time. The owners of these buildings, nobody who owns these buildings. The rent
government
is crazy. Sorry?
I said the federal government owns these buildings.
And they're paying. I mean, is there not being used, right? And Trump has this thing where he want to bring what is it, architect back to, like, he want to make, how Russia has those beautiful like castle structures, um
Yeah,
and when you go to China, you can see within their culture they also have beautiful and luxurious ways of building their building, and it reflects on the people. Well, here in America, he sees, we build everything straight up. Most of our buildings is straight glass. We don't really have bricks. There's no quarries like there is in Britain where you can go make, unlimited stone and make brick homes and brick buildings and brick everything. But our architect is so blah. Everything go up. There's nothing that's really curving or interesting. Like, if you look on the top of the highest building in Las Vegas, you got a what, spinning ball. If you look on the top of the highest buildings in New York, nothing. But Vegas has more vigor, but that's mainly on the strip, right? Cause they all these buildings, all these designs, like it's Vegas, baby. But like throughout the country, not many cities have representation of their people, right? If you go throughout the country in China, you're finding beautiful sculpted homes. You're finding ancient ruins, like everything that tells a story. And if you look at my background, just look at my background. I have a view of trees. What is this? Central
that's
Park.
yeah, that's Central Park.
So I have a
Central,
view of trees in blah building. Just look at the buildings, right? If it was Moscow, you'll see if it was Taj Mahal, like you'll see something different in a different country. If you just think about it, right? Just expand the mind thought of sculpture. Look at the architect of our tallest building in my background. The three tallest buildings, they just go up, and it's all glass that reflects heat and burn people on the floor while you're walking. And all you gotta do is put the hand in the face because the reflection of the sun is burning your face in New York. Right? Like, it's so much glass everywhere. I get it, I guess, but I see what Trump mean. Sorry?
you say you see what he means.
I see what you mean by returning back to the building, but also making better buildings. That's all I'm saying. Like, you got a point there. Like, all these buildings in my background are empty right now. Right? They're empty. Before COVID, they were full for the majority of the workforce that are federal employees that works in some of these buildings. Right? That's what he's trying to say. We have a lot of empty federal buildings throughout the nation because people are
But
allowed to
you
work
know
from home.
that Mayor Bowser, she pretty much said that she welcomes the employees to come back because of because of the economic impact by the people that work in those buildings. So
Mm-hmm.
therefore, we're able to bring the revenue up inside of the
Again.
city, which I can understand that.
Mm-hmm. They can make
But
money off tolls again because tolls
right,
are going down. We're saving money because we're not paying extra money in tolls, right? So the people who stays home in some way or not, they make the best out of it. They really benefit from this more than you think, because now tolls are going through the roof right now. These people are not paying tolls, right?
and pay toll. Why would we? Why continue to keep paying tolls when you already paying state taxes to be able to fix these roads and these bridges and stuff?
That's
But then you actually putting a double tax on
yep.
somebody just to ride on 95 in New York City.
That's another topic, because of course we know that it doesn't make no sense to be taxed on something you're already being taxed on, but that's another topic, because
It's
you
called
enter another, yeah, you
double.
enter another loophole. So yeah, so that's another argument to be had, but first you got to get the workforce back in the buildings, right, Trump? Get the workers back in their building, then you can talk about the toll tax when you're driving through 95 or any city or state that tax the main roads, right? So yeah, that's another story right there.
All right, so I got another story real quick. I'm gonna just bring this up. This is actually breaking news that's coming in as of right now. I told you guys um about the federal aid. Uh, the courts have just issued an injunction in regards to this executive freeze of
powers. He doesn't care that Congress appropriates money and that actually is meaningful. These are three co-equal branches. So we already talked about Medicaid. What about the Head Start pop-ups that people are getting when they're trying to access funds? You think that doesn't affect individuals, low-income families that have their kids in school? You've got school lunches getting cut. And then Congressman Rich McCormick, who was on with Pam Brown, embarrassing himself, saying, oh, no, school lunches, no big deal. These kids should go out and get a job, stop mooching off the government. Do you know who gets school lunches?
Nobody agrees. Did anybody miss lunch today? Did anybody miss lunch today?
Well, I actually didn't get a lot to eat. Okay, opioid prevention funding, suicide prevention funding, HIV/AIDS treatment. They're just throwing crap at the wall and seeing what sticks. You guys didn't say anything on the DEI front at DOD. Did you see when they, for a few hours?
We just said it. They said they're gonna flood the system with a bunch of it and see what sticks.
Hours took down the promotional video about the Tuskegee Airmen.
I can't believe you're bringing that up.
I am bringing it up because when people pay no attention to the details.
That was on purpose.
Really?
Yes, you know it. That's why it was totally reversed.
And what about firing 18 inspectors? What's going on is that President Trump does.
Nah. Well, you heard that. You heard them.
Yep.
So I know that's your favorite news station.
Again, I'm independent. I don't have a favorite news station.
I know, but it's one of your favorite stations that you like to frequent sometimes.
I don't like good, so I don't like to consume him at all. I'm sorry, but I digress.
Well, it's our nation's only and very first propaganda network.
Heard that. That's true.
So now, and then today we had Jim Acosta. I don't know if you know about Jim Acosta and what
we spoke about it behind scenes, off camera.
They're trying to provoke us so they can declare.
All right, here we go. Let me pull this up. You can see that on the screen?
Yep.
All right, Trump's federal aid freeze is plainly illegal, but the real goal isn't to shrink government or curtail spending. It's a ploy to concentrate even more power into Trump's hands. It's straight out of the Project 2025 playbook. I need some sound effects for that.
My soundboard is still down, man. Yeah. Can't get the drum roll.
So that's coming straight out of Trump's plan of the 2025 playbook that he didn't know nothing about. Excuse my French. You dumbass. It's a lot of dumbass people out here that really voted for this and thought that this man was going to walk off into the White House on day one and become your champion.
Oh, look. I'm hold on. I don't want to sidetrack you in your thought, but it says here. Hold on. Whenever you can wait.
I'm waiting on you.
I just seen this.
What you want me to add? What just came across? Okay, let's see.
MSN, but I don't know. It just popped across my feed. It says judge struck down Biden's pardon of Fauci, Cheney, Schiff. No, that's satire. Fact check.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, well, how can that
be? Came across my feed and I didn't even look down to read. I can read now, but let me see.
Let's just go ahead and show it anyway because
I want to.
Sometimes fact check stuff in real time because there's a lot of people out there that's getting a lot of misinformation. And when Trump actually had an executive order, I think it was like his third executive order, where it was going to stop fact checking and only free speech. So technically, anybody could tell you a bunch of hogwash stuff and just feels like that it's the truth and it's
Well,
not.
Biden. I mean, not Biden. Obama already passed propaganda in 2012, though. The media lied to us legally because of that. All right.
The
Well,
media is still lying.
yeah, because of 2012, the propaganda bullshit that, excuse my French, but the stuff Obama signed, it was an executive order. No, it wasn't no executive order. He didn't even sign any. It was a law they signed into law. But anyways, a January 23 Instagram post includes an image showing four people: retired General Mark Milley, Dr. Anthony Fauci, Senator Adam Schiff, and former Republican Liz Cheney, who were pardoned by former President Joe Biden. Breaking news update: Biden pardons are unconstitutional, end quote. Reads the text in the image. Quote, Seventh Circuit Judge Joseph Barron ruled that there is no provision to pardon someone who hasn't been formally charged, laying the foundation to have the pardons expunged, unquote. All right. The Instagram post received more than 80,000 likes in 5 days. All right. It says R rating false. The claim originated on a satirical website. There is no judge with that name on the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals. No record of any court ruling related to the constitutionality of the pardons. All right. Claims about the pardons, say that 3 times fast, Biden's pardons, originated on the satirical website. Okay. Biden, let me see. Sorry, I'm trying to highlight it and read it, y'all. All right. Biden marked the final hours of his presidency with an unprecedented move, issuing blanket preemptive pardons to several of Trump's potential targets. Why they keep saying Trump's targets? Like Liz Cheney.
You already know why they're saying it's Trump's targets is because Trump said privately at Mar-a-Lago that the people that had anything with him during his cases, such as the case in New York, anybody that had anything to do with him being impeached those first 2 times.
So why
There was
isn't
there,
go ahead, I'm sorry.
there were people in Trump's orbit that told them that Trump planned to court martial a lot of these people.
Okay, so what about Fannie Mae, the lady from Georgia who's taking on her kid? Like, she's not being the target. She's not mentioned here. She didn't get a pardon. Like, there's a lot of people that's left out of this pardon.
I know it's a lot of people that could have been left out preemptively, but when you think about it, that's pretty much what has been taking place.
Yeah, but when you do a pardon, you're supposed to name the person. See, that's the thing that's the problem with the way these pardons are going out or have gone out. That it was a blanket pardon to, i.e., the J6 committee, because there was no individually named people. It was just to the committee and staff and workforce. That is the name on the pardon. So for those people who would want or didn't want the pardon, they'll have to jump through hoops to prove that they were a part of the committee and or staff or workforce if they felt like a case was going negative in their direction. So it's like, what are we like? Who's getting this pardon? Like, you're supposed to name the pardoner, so we could later, if they need to be cross-examined in the case, they could be called up to speak, because they lose their Fifth Amendment right when they get pardons, right? They cannot plead the Fifth when they receive a pardon. So
Right.
Once they're called to the bench or to as a witness, they have to say everything. So not being named as a pardon, like not being given a name, it's crazy. Like, how you gonna figure that out? All right.
Hey, at the
Mhm.
end of the day, like my thing is personally, I don't like the pardon process. For one, I think the departing process should be used with people that have shown that they have been rehabilitated and that they're not going to be a threat to their communities when they come home. But then again, you trying to compare apples to oranges right now, because it's almost like we seen what happened on January 6th, right?
Correct. The actions, and there was a committee.
Right. There was a
Mhm.
committee. They put the
Mhm.
committee in place. They did everything that they needed to do. Law enforcement also did their part. The FBI did their investigations. They charged
So
numerous
nobody
amount
should
of
be guilty.
who? How?
No, I'm saying so nobody should be guilty in that committee,
Meaning what you're trying to say?
meaning they have not committed any sort of a
Okay.
crime.
They haven't committed any crime.
Correct.
But with Trump, with the massive firings throughout the Justice Department, Trump number one priority was to come back and get back at everybody that opposed his power, who opposed him. He was going to go after all of his political enemies.
So now we
Those,
looking at the Oracle's
those
ball.
people, right, no, I'm not looking at the Oracle's ball because it's
No,
actually
not you.
been
No, not you. I'm talking about.
you actually seen it happen just a few days ago. When he fired all of the attorneys from the United States from the U.S. Attorney's Office out of D.C. that was working with Jack Smith during with the classified files case.
Right. So
He
they were
fired
just
all.
fired.
He
They was
fired them.
right, but they were not
Got
taken
rid
to jail.
of them. And then he also opened an investigation against those attorneys. So now that's a question you should ask yourself. Now it's a two-way street.
Okay, so the investigations
So you
that's
saying
opened
that,
up.
but also he just said in the interview just a few days ago that that why Biden didn't pardon himself.
Pardon
I
on his
was like,
way out. Biden on his way out.
but the question is though, but Trump forgot.
Mm-hmm.
He forgot that the Supreme Court gave Biden ultimate immunity.
Oh no, he gave no. They gave presidents.
Presidents.
Yeah, and it
Ultimate
happened under Biden.
immunity.
Yeah, but anything that's done under their term as a president, any action committed, they're not held responsible outside
We got
of
a comment.
the presidency. Yeah,
We got a comment came in. You see that on the screen?
yeah. Is it true? It came through. Okay, quick. Uh, I like the cuts, but yeah, the comment came up and it disappeared. But he said something pertaining to, is it true that they're trying to take away lunch from kids K through 12? Yeah, so
Yes.
they're
That's
reducing or cutting the budget. So in many
no, not
cases,
reducing. Wait, stop. Full stop.
uh-huh.
That program has been cut, but a federal judge has just put in place of that executive order of what Trump pretty much used the pen to just say, okay, I'm doing away with all these programs as president. I'm going to
Mhm.
put a freeze on all these things. The freeze can be in place, but the freeze can only be in place only up to a certain amount of days. But a federal judge has just blocked that because they said it's against the law and it's also unconstitutional. But don't say that it's not going to be overturned at the appellate level because we don't know what judge this may end up in front of. But you better guarantee that this will be on a fast track to the Supreme Court, in which we already know how the Supreme Court operates
Right.
on
But
behalf
to
of
answer that
your.
brother's question, as of right now, 2025, January 28th, I believe, right? Kids still have free lunch moving forward. So it's not cut. The program is still intact due to the actions of that judge, correct?
Yes, sir.
So yes. You still have the kids still have free lunch. No need to go on a rager right now, but
still, call
mhm,
your congressman.
mhm.
Wherever you live at, if you tell me where you're located at, we can probably be able to find out exactly who your congressman is. Call your congressman. A lot of people say, what am I going to call them for? They're not going to do nothing for me. No, get on the phone, call their switchboard, leave a message. They will get back in contact with you. If you got to, send an email, let them know exactly how you feel. They will respond. The staff is put there to respond to the American citizens. If they do not respond, then you can contact the Inspector General's office in Washington, D.C., and file a complaint against your congressman or your representative or your senator or whoever it is of your state.
And all of that should be done in a timely fashion. So if they don't respond in 2 weeks, you don't want to go ahead and just call the Washington guy. You want to do it maybe after 30 days. Give them some time to respond, because multiple thousands of people that could be thinking just like you and trying to contact them at the same time. So let's just be courteous at the same time. But nevertheless,
Just we're going to keep you guys fully in. We're going to make sure that we keep our voices out there, because we need this, because our people don't know. Our people don't understand what's going on, how it affects you. A lot of us, the only thing that we thought of is that, oh, Trump did this for us the last time. Oh, he's going to do this. He's going to be bringing this money and all this stuff back to us. But as we see already, that a lot of these things that he's actually doing, he talked about on the campaign trail. He completely said the quiet parts out loud, but nobody paid attention to it. They just sat there and they clapped. Nobody paid attention. But we were locked in over here for the past several months. We've been locked in to what his plan was going forward. But we're going to keep you posted on that one. But I got a video that I want to take this to, and then Zoe, you can get your next one ready. We can get your next video queued once you have your next one done. I'm going to pull up is he saying, hold on, let me pull this up. He said, is he saying what his plan is with all the money he is trying to free up? He hasn't said that. And that's the one question that we've been asking ourselves already. We just had a discussion on that just a second ago. We just talked about, okay, why is he freeing up all this money? My opinion is, personally, I think, this is only my opinion, I can't speak for YZ, but I would say that a lot of this is being set up to be able to pay for this new tax cut that he's trying to get on the books. He pretty much said, okay, we're going to go ahead on, we're going to implement these freezes to the federal government for all this aid that we are giving out to individuals, American citizens. But what I read on Facebook today, a lot of people said, well, is Israel aid going to be held up too? Is Ukrainian aid going to be held up as well? Because if we're gonna punish the American citizens for all this aid that we're putting out, why don't you start with these countries that we're giving American aid to, and you're not giving this aid to the American people? So therefore, if this is about making America great again, then it only looks like that the only way that America is going to be great again is unless we're going to be helping Israel, Ukraine, and all of the other countries and stuff where we're sending our aid to. And those are over trillions and trillions of dollars. But me personally, my thoughts, that money is going to be put aside to pay for this multi-trillion-dollar tax cut that he has proposed. So I want to take this. I'm going to take this over to Governor Pritzker from the state of Illinois. Correct? Right, Zoe?
Pritzker, I believe he's in Illinois.
We'll take this to Governor Pritzker. I'm going to play this, and then we'll talk about this on the other side. Let me get this zoomed in. Let's get this full mass on the screen. Wait, don't sound.
This morning, along with all 50 states across the country, we discovered that our ability to access critical federal funding had been cut off. And now the administration would like us to believe that these were just coincidental website outages. Donald Trump and his administration have not earned the benefit of the doubt. They are either lying to us or they are critically incompetent. Despite what the White House press secretary said at the podium earlier, I believe it is my duty to report to you the truth of what actually happened today in Illinois. Donald Trump's administration is lying to you. The White House's attempt to walk back what they did today does not match what we saw on the ground. They assured us that Medicaid would not be affected. That was a lie. Our state agencies were unable to access the Medicaid system until an hour ago, preventing payments for services. And this has been reported from states across the nation. When we reached out to federal agencies, they informed us that they have been directed not to discuss any guidance with states. They have canceled previously scheduled meetings for this week. The White House assured us that Head Start would not be affected. That was a lie. Providers across the state experienced outages, and some were unable to make their payroll.
Hey, quick, this right here is going to answer whatever questions you have. So he's going through the motions and he's discussing exactly what's taking place on the ground. So just to listen in on this video, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about that more, because I'm actually trying to pull that information up right now as far as that that federal injunction that was just put in place on the whole for the federal aid.
They assured us that they were doing nothing to take away individual assistance from the most vulnerable people in our state. But they refused to say that they would restore LIHEAP, the Low-Income Housing Energy Assistance Program, payments to support the unemployment system, and Meals on Wheels. These are programs that hundreds of thousands of Illinoisans depend on: children, seniors, veterans, working parents. Let's just be clear about what happened over the last 24 hours. At 7:42 p.m. last night, we saw a memo from the White House saying that they were pausing federal funding across the board. This morning, along with all 50 states across the country, we discovered that our ability to access critical federal funding had been cut off. And now the administration would like us to believe that these were just coincidental website outages. Donald Trump and his administration have not earned the benefit of the doubt. They are either lying to us or they are critically incompetent.
All right. So, Zoe?
Yeah. First off, I'm gonna have to go off on a limb. J.B. Pritzker, Democrat of Illinois, governor, he, a billionaire, right, does not like Donald Trump. They have a billionaire, not they, because it's more or less him, because Donald Trump has the bigger B in the billions and Pritzker has the little b. But of course, since Trump took over in presidency and had to spend a lot of money, it didn't, go into billions, but he had to not have direct ownership of certain buildings. He had to pass it on to his kids and stuff. So, the money, the back end of the money, the number transfer. So he don't have all the billions, but he's still a billionaire. Pritzker is a hater of Donald Trump. They never liked each other. So anything that comes from him, for real, in my opinion, I mean, he's right what happened, but he's just gonna boost it up and make it, sauce it all up. He doesn't like Trump, and he's a Democrat, and he's a billionaire. And Trump made it to be president, and he can't. He's a governor. He just don't like Trump. They have a billionaire. What is it? I don't know. It's some kind of issue there. I promise you, they have an issue, and he has the bigger issue with Trump than Trump.
The issue with Pritzker and Trump is that Pritzker pretty much told him to stay the hell out of his state. That's what that came. That's where all that beef.
And Donald Trump is the president of the state.
Right. But Donald Trump pretty much came into the state and was talking about how he was going to send in a massive force of DEA and FBI agents to go in to combat the
Gang violence.
violence and stuff of what was taking place inside of the cities, the city inside of in Chicago.
Right.
And Pritzker didn't like that because Pritzker was like, hold on, y'all trying to make this into a big issue in which our crime is actually going down. We've actually have systems that's in place because Pritzker, his government is not all about locking up people. It's all about the rehabilitation part of the rehabilitation part of not becoming a state that wants to throw criminals, no, not criminals, but want to throw people in jail that have never been locked up before.
Right.
So a lot of that stuff is it plays back, it piggybacks on to the prison, the pipeline, the prison, the school, the pipeline, prison apparatus. But that's no here, no there. But what I can tell you though is about how the government is actually using a particular company that happens to be a donor to the Trump administration during the campaign, which was a prison. This is a private owned prison company that actually got over $600 million in order for the deportations over these past couple of days. That's a lot of money.
It is.
And this money is actually going into coffers. These are actually former employees that work with HSI, Department of HSS, Homeland Security. They left and they went to join this company. Matter of fact, let me pull this up. Let me see if I can bring this up real quick. I was just looking at this last night and I was like, I said, I'll be damned. You mean to tell me that I think it's called OSBI or something like that. I can't remember the words, but I'm gonna bring it up before we get off tonight. But they've benefited over $600 and some odd million just off of deportations, and they're also talking about how they're going to build additional prisons to be able to house the majority of these migrants and stuff that they are rounding up throughout the country. And I sat back and I thought about it. I was like, $600 million? I was like, damn. I said, they well on their way to making $1 billion before the year is over with. Now, where did they get that funding from? Let's see if you can think about it. Where do you think they got that funding from, Zo?
I don't know. You tell me. I'm not in their back pocket.
They got the funding from the Department of Defense. So they're using DOD money.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, it's costing us, just when Biden was deporting over the past couple of months, I think he deported over like 200 and some odd thousand people over the past few months before he got out of office. This year.
He was on a deportation spree.
He was on a deportation spree. And so he got out a lot of these violent offender criminals and stuff. And what the Trump administration is doing, they're trying to control the optics of what you're seeing on TV. So the one thing that they're doing is they're out there, they're putting this stuff up so you can see it and say, oh, we arrested 374 people today. Oh, we arrested 500 and some odd people. Biden did more deportations than the Trump administration during his first 2 years in office.
Let's ask the question out of the 200,000, how many of them were actually violent offenders, or how many of them was actually broken homes?
They were actually the majority of them were violent offenders.
Out of 200,000 people?
Yes, and most of them were undocumented, where they came, not undocumented, but they came over illegally across the border crossings. So this is a proven fact. I'll bring that up to you.
That's crazy. No, I'm sorry.
Now with that being said, Biden was doing it in a humane way by deporting and putting these guys on these government planes and sending them over to these countries, sending them back to their countries of origin. It didn't have these big C-17 planes, but I can tell you this, It cost us $8,000 to be able to fly these people back to their countries of origin. It cost us $8,000 with doing it with the military private planes. They send them back. Then Trump comes in. He wants to control the optics. Remember that. He's a showman. He wants to show, he wants to instill fear into the American people. So he's using the military. Okay, I'm going to send these I'm going to use the military. We're going to use the C-17 planes. In the C-17 planes, you can get over 100 people inside of one plane.
Mm-hmm.
So they were planning to load all of them up, put them onto the plane, and then ship them out.
Right.
So that's what he was doing. They were sending them back over.
Okay, that's good, right?
It's a good thing. Yeah, it's a good thing.
All right.
When they sent them over, they sent them out the country on the military plane.
Mm-hmm.
So mind you, drop them out. They went tuck into Colombia. Colombia flew them back. Said, no, you're going to treat our people with dignity and respect. You don't send them here on military planes, and you don't have them sent there in shackles because they weren't criminals when they left our country.
But they are criminals.
Wait, that's what they tell us, because nobody's never really did a full background check on a lot of these people. They're using it as a boogeyman to continue to keep on showing you black and brown faces plastered across the media.
No, the whole concept and idea of having let's eliminate Biden, 200,000.
Oh, wait. Now, I'm breaking this down. $8,000 a flight. Trump's using the military planes. It's $8,000 flight time for a regular 747 plane to drop people off.
A Boeing 747, yeah.
Right. Now, you get into the military apparatus of this. You use the C-17 planes. That's the big gray plane that you always see.
Big jumbo.
Cargo and everything.
Yeah, more people.
$20,000 a flight hour.
Okay.
So a flight from Mexico, not Mexico, but they were sending them from Miami. I think they sent them from Miami back to Colombia. That's a 3 hour, I think it's 2.5 to 3 hour flight time. It cost us $40,000 there and back on a C-17 plane.
Yeah. How many people would fit on the 747 for $8,000?
The same amount.
100 people.
Right.
Nah. I beg to differ. Well, then the C-47 will have to fit 300 people. It have to fit double if it's bigger.
It can fit that, but the thing is, like I just told you, he wants to control the optics of what you're seeing on TV on the nightly news.
Right.
See, we've been through this. See, I know you're young and you may not probably understand this, but I remember seeing this back in the 90s when they always used a black or brown face in order to show you, hey, these are the criminals.
Right. I get that part.
But mind you, the largest undocumented population inside of the country is people that are Irish and of Caucasian ethnicity from different countries.
They are the majority. You would expect that, but yeah.
But my question is, why we're not plastering these people on the nightly news and saying that these people need to be deported as well?
No, you have to have the optics, like you say, put the face of the black and brown person, which always creates fear because of color. And then the white people, the majority is going to see that and have a whole different opinion. But if that's not the case, if you want to be fair and show, that's the reason why they never show like the name of the white man who does the rape or murder. But the moment a black person do it, they show you the name. They look for a mugshot. They show you the area. It's the control of the optics. We know that, but that's not fair, right? If in a newspaper it will say 5 white men's name, they did a crime, and then a black man come, they're gonna show you a picture with his name, and then 3 more white men underneath with just their name. You're not never gonna see the face of the white man when they commit the crime. It's the optics. We get that, but here's the real question: if this is a good thing or a bad thing. He's using a C-47, a bigger military plane. If it holds more people at 20,000 and the 747 Boeing only holds, let's say, 50 people at 8,000, I would much rather get more out and pay the 20,000 there and back, as opposed to doing multiple trips of 8,000 that's going to exceed 40,000 after 5 trips. Like I'd rather pay that 40,000 and get the most for my bank. Like if I'm getting 50 v 150, okay, give me 150. That we're getting them out. Now when it comes to the trying to figure out who's innocent and who's not, that I believe has already been done. If it hasn't, then we got to look into it, because again, 200,000 was deported from Biden. Was all 200,000, let's say, was 100,000 of them criminals? That's kind of crazy to have 100,000 criminals sought out, found, and deported back to a country that
You
has
just said, you just summed up everything that I've been thinking about. Like, you mean to tell me we got over 100,000 people in this country that have committed multiple atrocious crimes and stuff that came from their countries?
right, that came from one country is crazy.
Everybody, no, I'm just saying, everybody that they're porting are
Yeah,
all violent
criminals.
criminals.
No, they're not. They're not. Most of these people, their crime, the only federal crime that they committed was coming
Was
to,
across the border
yeah,
illegally.
illegally. That's the baseline that everybody should understand. Like, we all got rules. If you step in my house and I say don't wear sandals, with sandals, you just broke the first rule. That should be like baseline. We all know crossing any border of any country is consequences. That's just you should want to applaud the
Exactly.
government for protecting your border, for one. So it's
I
always Mhm.
told you I don't disagree. I don't
Oh,
disagree
no,
with that.
no. Yeah, I
I
ain't
don't
talking to you. I'm
disagree
talking
with
to
that.
the mass. But yeah, it's so in my perspective, once they breached the border and made their way through, they've lived here for so many years. They got so many ties, and they've been assimilated to the country. If you want to retroactively take them back, now there's issues with that, because there's already laws of the land. If you spend so much time, you already allowed it to become a certain sovereign citizen to some capacity in some states and municipal places. You're able to become a sovereign citizen of the state or the city where you're, like the asylum states, right? In Boston, before they went up there and start raking everybody up. If you made it to Boston, right, some way, somehow, that's an asylum city state. Like, you're granted freedom damn near automatically. So now ask yourself, how are you going to trek from Mexico to Boston without being detected by Homeland Security, NSA, CIA, FBI, all the damn 3-letter suits, right? So you've made it all the way to Boston or California, which there's many easy routes there. But let's just talk about Boston, because from Mexico to Boston, Guatemala to Boston, Haiti to Boston, Jamaica to Boston, that's a trek. You got to get through Florida. You got to get through 13 states before you get up there. So
Right.
let's talk about the retroactive part of removing people who've already established and been assimilated and being part of community. What crime have they committed? If it's the border crime and they've already contributed, that's kind of messed up. If there's already laws that say, hey, you've been here for over 10 years, you good. You've been here for 7 years and you ain't commit no crime, you good. What about the asylum seekers? They have their papers, or the ones that lost their information and transitioning from place to place, because it's not easy. You still got to get used to the economy when you get here. So there's a lot of questions to be asked, but who's asking them? All right, that's what we have, the House, but nobody's doing anything there. They got other business to tend to.
No, it's that they're doing the business, but the thing is that during last year in February, they had a deal. They could have handled the asylum cases. They gave dreamers a path to citizenship.
Right.
It had everything. It had the funding. They were going to put more judges and stuff that was going to be on the border that can be able to oversee these asylum cases. We got 9 million backlog cases of the immigration system.
Mm-hmm. And 200,000 of them got deported.
Right.
Yeah, there's many more.
And then on top of it, with the people that were coming into the country, that got into the country, that got asylum cases, all their cases have been done and over with by the stroke of a pen.
Right.
He ended all this. But then you had a lot of people that were in limbo that already have cases that are pending before judges. And these people are afraid because they're going to be deported. Because if you go out to these immigration offices, you got lines and droves of people out there standing in line waiting to get in to see their probation officer to make sure that they are not going to be deported because they have an asylum case. And what you already know, if you got $9 million backlog on cases that need to be heard by an immigration judge to let them know that they can stay here or not. These people are still in limbo. We don't have enough judges to be able to facilitate or handle that. In which that border bill that was put up last year in February, Donald Trump killed it. He killed the bill. Well, it could have solved a lot of the issues of what we're dealing with right now. Not once has Trump came out and came up with one policy move saying, this is what I'm going to do on immigration. He could have tackled this day one. He could have been working his butt off trying to get a bill passed through Congress to get this stuff done with the new Congress. Well, we could have been able to come up with a bipartisan plan where both sides could have came together to be able to try to find out what is it that they want to put into this border plan. He hasn't done that yet. He hasn't even came and said, oh, this is what my proposals or what I want to do with the budget. He hasn't came and rolled out now one single plan. If you can find me where in all your years of watching the presidency, how many times have you seen the president come into office and they have not came up with one policy plan or what they wanted to get passed through Congress within their first week in office?
Can't think of one right now.
Exactly, because when Biden came in, the first thing he was doing was the rescue package. Obama came in, he came in to destabilize the markets from the subprime mortgage market. He handled that situation. President Bush came in, he came in with his tax cut and also his terrorism bill. He was working on that. President Clinton came in with the thought of understanding that we needed to raise taxes on high earner income people to be able to offset the federal deficit. Reagan came in and they ran shop. He came in off of Jimmy Carter's fault of gas prices or what have you, etc. So it goes on and on. Each president came in with particular policy moves. But this administration
came in, he was a puppet.
Right. And this administration has not came out with a plan as of yet. So my question is, when will this president come out in front of the cameras and say, here are my policy. No, here are some of the things that I want to get passed through Congress. He hasn't came and did anything with Congress. All he's been doing is this. Signing away on executive order after executive order. When are we going to get some real policies passed? You know why he hasn't done that yet?
Zoe? He already know what he want to do.
No, he already knows that he's going to need Democrat support to help a lot of these policies. This is the thinnest margin of the House of Representatives in the history of the House. This is the thinnest margin. They only can afford to lose 2 votes. In the Senate, they got a 3-seat majority. So that tells you We living inside of technically almost a divided government. Trump can lose 3 votes because he got J.D. Vance to cast any tie-breaking vote in the Senate.
Right.
But my number one question is to all of this: when are we going to see some strategic plans that's going to be able to lower the cost of eggs? Immigration doesn't doggone stop us from don't lower prices. It's going to rise the prices. You got farmers up in Wisconsin said that if he loses the majority of most of his undocumented workforce, he said ain't no white people out here lining up to get these jobs. So he said, I'm looking at every bit of 2 days. And then you'll start to see the increases in prices and goods and stuff throughout the country. And then the first thing they do, they get on, they don't already started on Twitter. The Republicans started on Twitter talking about, the high prices and stuff for goods and services so that way we can get rid of the undocumented people.
You don't think in the near future, in like let's say 3 months, right? March, April, you don't think prices are going to start to come down and we're going to have a new conversation to be held?
I'm gonna tell you like this personally. The conversation that you want to have, that what you're talking about right now, saying, well, what about the question? This conversation will we be having this in a few months?
Mm-hmm.
Hell no. No, because we already are going to be in a tariff war. And remember, people, tariffs are tax on the American citizens. Don't let Trump roll out there and give you feed off a bunch of BS and fall for the okie doke. They do not. Those tariffs will be paid by the American consumers, not the country. Not the people that are buying the stuff and sending it over. And no, we got to pay for it. You pay $100 for a pair of shoes, a pair of Jordans. By the time it gets to the store, it's already inflated by $100. So therefore, that pair of Nike Air Jordans that you want to wear, put $75 on that. Add those things to those goods and services, because now you don't pretty much depleted the entire workforce in the country. Ain't no white people and black people going to be lining up to go and pick no berries in no field.
And why not? Because it don't cost. They're not making money.
Exactly, because you're not going to make enough money because those farmers ain't going to want to pay you that kind of money.
Exactly, they ain't gonna make enough money. So capitalism proceeds again. You can't get a good.
Let's see what this comment is. It says, do you guys think that the United States will be divided into different countries in the future, like Texas will become its own country, and so on? That's called what you're thinking of is succeeding countries, states seceding from the Union.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. It's put in the Constitution for it not to happen.
No, actually, states can succeed from the Union. They have to get 2/3 majority of their House and Senate in their state. Then the governor will have to ratify it for them to be able to succeed from the Union. And Congress doesn't have any a horse in the race to make that happen. It can happen. That can happen. But the question is, if that's the case, because like if you look at California with FEMA, they're saying that they want to put voter ID a part of their a part of the conditions to receive FEMA funding for these houses that got burnt down in California, in which that's never happened in American history. Nothing has never been tied. Voter ID has never, or anything like that has ever been tied to disaster funding. So Trump says this is what he wants to do, in which, if you look at it, California has the 4th largest GDP than any country in the world. So therefore, if California was to secede from the Union, all of the taxes and all the benefits and stuff that a lot of people get from a lot of this funding and stuff from the taxpayers, the majority of that money comes from California, which California is one of the largest states, is the largest state in our union. So if we lose California, then boom, California becomes its own country. They can do whatever the heck they want to do. They can be able to create their own states. They can be able to create their own way of life. But we need California because California helps those cities and areas inside of Red America where they don't have a lot of those resources, where those funds that are paid into the federal government's coffers are to help the American citizens when that issue takes place. All right,
Well,
so you want to add?
yeah, this little article here is it's still unconstitutional. It's been ruled by the court unilaterally that it's unconstitutional.
What's
And
that?
states do not have the right to succeed. So it's already
They can
put in the Constitution that it can't. It's like a safeguard
It's
for
a
states.
safeguard. I know it's a safeguard, but it has to be 2/3 vote and it has to be ratified by Congress.
Yeah, that's not going to pass. I'm telling you, that's like repealing the
It's a
Constitution.
it's a possibility if it does. If we do get to a situation
Hmm. It's
where
possible in
states may
theory.
say, no, we're gonna block y'all off.
In
We're
theory,
gonna do our own blockade. In theory,
it's possible,
but
but to enact
right now,
on that, you can't.
if you think about it, right now we're living in perilous times at this moment.
Yeah, but that's like still
So
you're doing.
anything could happen.
That's a hypothesis going wrong right there, brother.
I
I
know.
wouldn't
I
I
understand.
wouldn't bet my bottom dollar on the United in my lifetime that the United States will ever split up or anybody in the United States will ever split. I would not bet that. I would not bet that. I would not put black or red on that. I promise. When they repeal slavery, then succession will succeed. They have to take something out of the Constitution first for me to believe that something like that can happen. Until they take something out of the Constitution, and in my lifetime I haven't seen anything been re-ratified or taken out. I'm not taking anybody's opinions. I'm going with what the judges of the Supreme Court do, what the Constitution says, because if that's the case, when they take something out, then they take away First Amendment rights. You're done. It's over with. The foundation has broken. All they need to do is just take one thing out. Nothing has been taken out thus far. All of this has been hypothesis. Nothing has came to fruition. Nothing is done. It's all in theory. But until something come out the Constitution, I don't care about nobody's opinion. I'm sticking with the judge's experts' opinion, the Supreme Court's decisions, the case laws behind each case study. That's what I'm gonna go and reflect off of, because this land has an innate ability of sticking to its word on paper. And the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, is one that they would not go against. They're trying. You see, they can't touch guns, illegal search and seizure. The soldiers can't just run off in your house. You still get due process. You still get a lawyer. Like there's a lot of rights that hasn't been touched, and 27 of them. They want to add more. I'm sticking to the Constitution as an independent.
You sound like a liberal, my friend.
Liberal schmiberal. Liberal schmiberal.
All right, we got another comment. Okay, I'm tuning in late, but I just wanted to add on that these
Oh, it popped
are
away.
the ramifications. These are the ramifications that we are facing as a result of the election. No one can say that they were blindsided by Trump's executive plan. True.
You can't say that. You can't. I mean, everything that they're doing, they somehow kind of led one way or another that they were going to do it. You had the bulk of the population
I got my
predominantly voted
popcorn.
for.
I've been eating my popcorn.
Hey, cat. Yeah, you can almost see the direction of where the country was heading to. It's just while you're driving, you had a veil over your eyes, and slowly the wind was just pulling the veil up and you're able to see, but then you're driving through the fog at the same time because you don't know where you're going. I don't know. These weird analogies. I'm just saying we kind of knew, right? We kind of knew.
The writing was already on this wall on election day because a lot of people went out and they voted against their own best interest. But now you got people out here falling out all over the place, crying and carrying on and stuff like, "Oh, don't tell me that he's gonna do this."
Yeah,
Oh my God,
I
no,
love it.
motherfucker,
I
voted
love it.
for him.
I
You
love it.
idiot! You voted for this mess. You wanted chaos. Here it is. The media, the big conglomerate, big bad media. They are the reason why we're dealing with this. If they would have just went out there and they stuck to the policies and the merits of an election instead of spending a lot of time on sleazy, minute bull crap, maybe we probably would have had a significant change in this country. Got another comment.
Come on, cat.
All right, exactly, Cantrell Pierce. I'd rather know what's coming other than being blindsided with hidden agendas so I can know how to react better than being blind, not knowing what's to come.
And that's what I
Fact.
was talking to you about off camera earlier when we were speaking right before the show. I was
Yeah.
telling you that I love this. I'd rather them do it in our face, right? As
So
opposed
we
to,
make
you
a
know,
decision about what to do
yeah.
next.
So I love it. I respect the people for doing what they really want to do. All right. Hey,
I agree with you on that one.
because you can't lie to yourself and say you want them to cover your damn plate with something else when they're serving you shit. You can't lie to yourself. Excuse my French.
Now, remember what I was just telling you about the groceries and stuff? Now, I want you to see a lot of these MAGA individuals. They are out here, but we won groceries. But we won on groceries. What were groceries? Watch
It's a very
this.
simple word, groceries. Like almost, who uses the word? I started using the word, the groceries. When you buy apples, when you buy bacon, when you buy eggs, they would double. And I went on groceries.
So when he talks about that he won on groceries, well, when are our prices coming down, President Trump?
That's why I want to have a future
Here we
conversation.
go. We here. I thought it was going to go down in 24 hours after you was elected president.
Oh no, come on, now. You
He
got a
said
big company.
24 hours.
Yeah, that's rhetoric.
He was elected.
That's rhetoric. We know what rhetoric is. You got to get into chair. No, come on now. We
You
know
said that.
realistically,
So I remember you said that prices was going to come down during the election cycle.
and they did. Naturally, they came down. Prices came down. They wasn't as low as they could be, but they came down. However, we know that just because he's president doesn't make him the president of Swanson. And Swanson, he don't control their prices. He can only put in place something for them to reduce their price gouging tactics, right? So he can't just make the prices come down. He got to get a whole bunch of people to come and make a law that the Swanson people have to follow on social media. However, complaining is going to get us anywhere. We, as minorities, come together, unite. Let's build on each other. General program, help support. Of course, she's not lying. But that's what's going to happen in the near future. That's what's supposed to happen. If that don't happen, then you can see the direction of prices. They're going to continue to go up.
Involved in politics rather than by voting consistently, primary general elections is going to the local board meetings that occur on running for the local government. We can make a change, but it will take all of us. Right. And exactly. All politics are local. All politics are local. That's where it starts at. But the thing is that we got to get rid of, because now you on to what we were just talking about earlier amongst ourselves in our pre-meeting. We were talking and we were like, well, what do we do? What is the blueprint? What is the plan? How do we move forward? What do we tell our people? How do we articulate what it is that we need to be doing as a community to be able to bring the economic force, that coalition of people that can be able to get together and say, okay, this is what our demands are and this is what we're going to do. Fannie Lou Hamer clearly laid it out during the 60s. I'll take it back to what she said. This sticks with me. It was on August the 22nd when she said this. She said that if they don't seat us within the Democratic, and because it was called the New Black Democratic Party, they said if they don't seat us, that this will leave a stain on the American legacy for years to come for what they have done to our people over the years with poll taxes and all these different things. I might want to play that interview before we get off.
Hold
And I
on.
want to leave words because I mean the way she broke it down, it made sense because she said, are you tired of being sick and tired? Are you tired of it? Because that's the only time when you'll get to a point where you're going to be getting tired of certain things that are taking place in the government. When are you going to get sick and tired of being sick and tired? Zoom in on that.
No.
You can pray until you faint, but unless you get up and try to do something, God is not going to put it in your lap.
So what she's saying is you got to get up and fight. You got to get up and do something.
It's time to get up because now it's time for us to go ahead on, get from behind the keyboard, and it's time for you to, like you just said, Ms. Pierce, it's time for us to get out here, get in front of the inside of the local governments, let them know, no, we're not finna take this. We're not finna do that. Because when you think about it, when all of us vote, we win.
Mm-hmm.
If all of us vote, we win. It's not a care in the world that they can't do anything about the voting power. But mind you, during the election, Republicans groups got together. They went back to the 40s, the 30s, and the 60s playbook, and they used race to be able to kick a lot of people off of voting. They purged a lot of people that were voters in certain states: North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. 4 states that decided the election. They purged over 4 million people. No, it was over 3 million people they purged off of the rolls. Mind you, Kamala Harris only lost by 1.2 million votes. That's not a lot, but 1.2 million of us stayed home and didn't go out and vote because they were turned off by this political cycle. People were fed up with Biden. People were fed up with Trump. We understand that this is what was going on, that people were filling that stuff at the pocketbook and were like, dang, when is these prices going to go down, Joe? What we going to do about all this stuff or what's taking place right now, Joe? And this is the situation that we got ourselves caught up into.
The prices still ain't come down then, and they don't look like they coming down now.
I had a slight connection outage, but yes, we as a race cannot be complacent. We need to come together and build a business and get involved and stop waiting for a seat at the table. Correct.
Amen.
That's where it starts at. It starts at these type of gatherings. Like if we got to, we can go to our local library and we can use the library hall and we can go in there and we can have meetings inside of there and we can be able to pull in like-minded people that are ready to build a coalition to be able to take on this stuff. Because right now at this point, everybody, we're gonna have to fight for every single thing that you want in this country now over the next 2 years. Because if the Democrats don't get their damn act together and they don't start challenging and start to be more of an opposition party towards what Trump and the Republicans are doing, they're gonna run shop on this country. And by the time we look up, they're gonna been done got everything that they wanted, and they're gonna been done did everything that they wanted to do. But it goes back to that Tip O'Neill The Tip O'Neill. Tip O'Neill was the Speaker of the House during that time, during Reagan. They said, okay, we're not going to do nothing. We're going to sit back and we're just going to let it all implode. And then they're going to come running back to the party after they see everything that happened. And that didn't happen. They probably got the control of the House and the Senate. But then after that, it was just stagnant from that point on. Nothing didn't change until you got Clinton. Clinton came in. He was there for 8 years. We had a surplus government. Bush came in, tax cuts, destroyed the economy. They did it again. This tax cut stuff didn't start until Reagan came and jumped off the horse.
Reaganomics.
Reaganomics is crazy. Who in the hell believes in trickle down economics? Trickle down economics never helped nobody in the black community. It pretty much took away from everything that would happen inside of the community. And then you look at all of the stuff that you got to deal with on a daily basis, just thinking about like, dang, I'm working and I barely got enough money to pay my freaking rent. Rent is at $2,500 for a 2-bedroom apartment in Florida. That's why people are leaving the state in droves. People are leaving out of this state. Florida just added a new House seat to Congress because the state grew. Now that the state is in decline, it's starting to go down. But the policies and stuff that the Trump administration is doing and what he's doing up to this point right now, Florida is ground zero of all of these policies. Florida is ground zero, meaning we've already seen Project 2025 fully implemented inside of the state. And now the one thing that I can say, I don't agree with Republicans in the state a lot, but I would agree with them on this. Ron DeSantis called them back into special session of the Florida House. They got into the Florida House session. They gavelled in and they gavelled out. And they said that we're not going to be told what to do here in this state. We're going to do what we need to do for the Floridians of the state of Florida. We're not worried about what's going on the federal level. Ron DeSantis wants them to pass a bill to help him with this immigration policy. And I was like, well, how in the hell are we going to pay for it? I'm tired of it.
You.
All right, so what you got?
All right, that was just giving a little insert on the Reaganomics, what we was just talking about, just so people can get a little basic understanding of what it is, and if they need to, they can go search it up on their own on Wikipedia and catch up. But this is basically it here. The historical context here.
What does it say?
Go ahead, highlight it and read a little bit. All right. Prior to the Reagan administration, the United States economy experienced a decade of high unemployment and persistently high inflation, known as stagflation, attack on the Keynesian economic orthodoxy, as well as the empirical economic models such as the Phillips curve grew. Political pressure favored stimulus, resulting in an expansion of the money supply. President Richard Nixon's wage and price control were phased out. The Federal Oil Reserves were created to ease the future short-term shock. President Jimmy Carter, we was just talking about that when you was going back with all the presidents and what they came in for. President Jimmy Carter had begun phasing out the price control on petroleum while he created the Department of Energy. Much of the credit for the resolution of the stagflation, right? So Jimmy Carter was the reason for the stagflation, and Ronald Reagan came and he was supposed to clean it up, right? All right. Jimmy Carter, the Democrat, is given two causes: renewed focus on increasing productivity and a 3-year contraction of the money supply by the Federal Reserve Board under the Paul Volcker. And that's Rudolph. Ain't he one of the oh, never mind. I thought he was one of the Rothschilds. But this is right along the time the Rothschilds entered into what, Nixon? Wasn't it Nixon's administration? that the Rothschilds entered and created the that's 1969. Nope, that was long before his time. Never mind, sorry. But yeah, so this is just a basic history of oh, you can't, hold on, you're not seeing what I just, it's all right, you can cut away from the feed now.
All right.
I think the feed had
Yeah,
froze when I went to the
I
next
can cut it
page.
off. Okay, go ahead. You said you got to the next page?
Oh, there we go. I'm sorry. While I was reading, it wasn't on the tab. Okay, I'm sorry. So this page, this historical context that's highlighted is what I just read for you guys. I'm sorry. This is the page that I just read right here. Everything that's in that's highlighted. And yeah, you can go ahead and close the page.
All right. So with that being said, so now we look at what you were just saying about the prices and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But when Trump came into office, he made his very first phone call. Who do you think his very first phone call went to?
That's a good one. I wouldn't know. Putin.
Nope.
I'd bet my bottom dollar on Putin.
His first phone call went to the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. Why did he make that phone call?
Trying to get right with that oil, that petroleum, that
Right.
petrol.
But the United States is the largest producer of oil right now in the world. We're producing more barrels of oil than anything in the world as of right now.
Right.
But the thing is, we can't use any of our oil because that's inside of our reserves, right?
Which was created during Jimmy's time, Jimmy Carter.
So now, I got a video I want to share where Trump went to the economic forum just a few days ago, where he was just pretty much talking about what is it that he wants to implement during his tenure as president of the United States. And he pretty much went to the World Economic Forum and he lectured them on that if nobody doesn't do business with the United States, that they're going to face tariffs. So the first thing he does is he goes talk to his buddy MBS. He says, MBS, I need you to lower the oil and stuff. I need you to come down on the rates. And then we're going to work with Russia and stuff so that way we can lessen the blow. So that way our oil companies here in the United States can continue to get the kickbacks and stuff from the government. So therefore, while they're building up the reserves, the minute that, let's just say, some type of catastrophe or something may happen in the world, and then oil prices go skyrocket and go up, right?
Right.
Who's going to be the beneficiary of those things? The good old US of A. Because if they raise the prices, if they lower the prices on oil, that's going to only hurt us, because it hurt us during COVID. That was the first thing that Trump did.
Right.
Oil prices were getting oil companies were getting killed during COVID. Nobody wasn't driving. Oil prices were at the lowest that it had ever been. And so what the first thing happened, Trump calls OBS and say, hey, I need you to send us some oil. We need to get your oil. The minute that they sent that oil over here to our country, it caused the inflation. It went up.
Right.
Because we weren't using what we already had, and so it pushed prices up. So what the hell you think gonna happen this time around? We're gonna listen to this video real quick, and we'll talk to y'all on the other side.
I heard that.
Let's get this up.
Wonderful room that you're all gathered together. So many of my friends, but Americans, the economic confidence is soaring like we haven't seen in many, many decades, maybe not at all. Upon my election, it was just announced that small business optimism skyrocketed by 41 points in a single month. That's the highest.
Hold on 1 second. I'm trying to get that back up. While we waiting on that,
ever. There's never been anything like that. SoftBank has announced between a 100 and 200 billion dollar investment in the U.S. economy because of the election result. And just 2 days ago, Oracle, SoftBank, and OpenAI announced a $500 billion investment in AI infrastructure. Other companies likewise have announced billions and billions and billions, adding up to trillions of investment in America, in the United States. And it's also reported today in the papers that Saudi Arabia will be investing at least $600 billion in America. But I'll be asking the Crown Prince, who's a fantastic guy, to round it out to around $1 trillion. I think they'll do that because we've been very good to them. And I'm also going to ask Saudi Arabia and OPEC to bring down the cost of oil. You got to bring it down, which, frankly, I'm surprised they didn't do before the election. That didn't show a lot of love by them not doing it. I was a little surprised by that. If the price came down, the Russia-Ukraine war would end immediately. Right now, the price is high enough that that war will continue. You got to bring down the oil price. You got to end that war. They should have done it long ago. They're very responsible, actually, to a certain extent, for what's taking place. Millions of lives are being lost. With oil prices going down, I'll demand that interest rates drop immediately, and likewise, they should be dropping all over the world. Interest rates should follow us. All over, the progress that you're seeing is happening because of our historic victory in a recent presidential election, one that has become quite well known.
So Trump saying if Saudi Arabia bring down the price of oil, the war in Ukraine gonna end because of oil.
that's a bunch of bull.
I mean, he's saying it. I don't know. I don't listen. I don't believe it until I see it, right? But he's the one that's saying it. So if it happens, then that means what he said was true. If it don't happens, that means what he said was false. So I'm in the camp. I'm waiting to see. Because if I go, trying to persecute the man before he even make a move, then I'm looking stupid with my thing in my hand, right? So honestly, I'm just here. I'm a spectator right now. I'm an activist, but I'm a spectator right now.
But at the end of the day, that's the one thing that we got to understand. It's just that we got to be smart enough and we got to understand exactly what's taking place, because when he lowers those costs, inflation goes up. We don't want that, because right now the markets are stable. If he changes anything to this economy, we done. I hate to say that, but it's the truth.
That new program from China. I just remember Trump was saying something about investing billions of dollars into AI, but that new program it was on fire in the news.
The new AI system
from China.
I checked it out. It's called DeepSeek.
Yeah.
Oh, it's all our billionaires here in the country. They were in the dead. They was in the tailspin trying to figure out what the heck was going on. It caused a lot of our AI companies to start crashing.
So,
and the only reason why that took place was because it's just letting you know exactly how far behind the 8 ball we are at trying to get things done, is because you got parties that oppose a lot of these policies, but now China's going to be leading the world in these things.
Yeah, because when I said that, I said that because he was saying they're investing billions and billions, right? But China did this and it's free, right? Open source for $5 million. $5 million in a staff of 200 people, PhD grads from school with no jobs. $5 million with half the GPUs, half the a third, a tenth, an eighth of the workforce behind Google, Grok, OpenAI, and everything we have here. We have billions of dollars invested into OpenAI here. They invested without the chips $5 million, 200 a PhD technique.
Less
Less
money,
money.
and we're over here spending billions
So
and billions.
it completely disrupt everything. Nvidia crashed. It completely disrupt everything because now, even with a gaming, like they basically made it to where if I get another CPU and I have two CPUs, maybe I can make my own AI building off the backs of the already existing source. That's what they did. They turned around and changed $1 trillion economy into anybody can get in and make money. They really they innovated. And they did it. They did something good. So that's one thing I can say in closing.
But at the end of the day, we still got one thing that we got to do as a community.
Mm-hmm.
We got to stay engaged, be informed, and understand exactly, like, if you're listening to us right now, you are a part of the resistance. We've all dealt with these issues throughout the years. We've heard what pundits have said on the right and on the left. They sliced and diced up everything the way that they wanted to do it. But now it's time for us as a community to come together, work together, and come up with our own plan. We need a new deal. We need a new deal. And it takes me back to what the late great Michael Jackson had a song. They don't really care about us.
Mm-hmm. They don't really care about us.
And it really sums up what we're dealing with right now. Because if Roosevelt was living, none of that, I don't think that this stuff would even probably take place the way it is. He came out with Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare. He made sure that we all had something to fall back on of what this country was going to do for each individual. And then you had who was it? Eisenhower warned us of the military industrial complex.
Mm-hmm.
Not enough office. He said that our biggest issue and what we're gonna have to deal with is the what is it called? What did he call it? He said we have to be mindful of the Tex industrial complex. That's the biggest issue right now. And we're gonna have to deal with it. We're gonna have to regulate some stuff. But right now, they've infiltrated our government. But it's gonna be up to us to make sure that we fight against that. So in closing, we're gonna get ready to wrap the show up here. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. We enjoy all of your comments and stuff that came in this afternoon.
Thank you.
We'll be back at it again tomorrow because, over these next couple of days, we know we're going to be having a lot more breaking news that's going to be taking place. And if you want to, you guys can tune back in with your questions and stuff. We'll go back through. We'll answer as many of the questions that we possibly can. But we thank y'all for being engaged. And just remember, while you're out there, don't go off of what people are telling you. Go out and research this information on your own. A lot of the comments and stuff of what we discuss here are some of our own opinions, but we also back it up by we actually fact check each other so that we're being accountable, unlike the mainstream media. So we want to thank y'all again for tuning in tonight. Thank y'all for all y'all questions and stuff. And we're gonna wrap it here this evening. And thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time. So Zoe, got anything you want to say before we close out?
Man, like always, stay informed. Always be in control of your own actions, and remember that you are the resistance.
La resistance.
La resistance.